Here's a fun little one. With Atlassian Team just around the corner, I wanted to make a video where I give you my top 5 predictions for what I think Atlassian is going to announce at Team 25. Now, because of the insider track that I'm usually in, where I'm privileged to a little bit more information than most, I want to be very careful here where I don't disclose anything. Now, full disclosure, I actually don't know anything. I actively try to stay away from embargoes and just insider information because I like doing these kind of videos where I can be raw and transparent with you and not have to hide anything. I'm not a big fan of secrecy. I just don't like keeping things from you all here. And so let's pull in ChatGPT. I'm going to show you what I did here with ChatGPT because that way you see a little bit of the source of where I'm coming up with my results here. So you don't think I'm doing some sort of like insider trading, if you will. So I went to my ChatGPT best friend here and I asked it, Atlassian is hosting their annual conference next week. Give me 5 predictions that you think they'll announce. And so I want to kind of go through these predictions and give you my 2 cents, my probability of what I think, just based on again what I know, the trends that I see, because I do talk to a lot of people and we do, discuss a lot of what's going on in the Atlassian ecosystem. And let's see how good or accurate or how valid these predictions are. Prediction number one: AI powered enhancements across the Atlassian suite. This is not a big surprise. Atlassian last year teased Rovo, and Atlassian Intelligence has been getting better by the month. And so I do see that Atlassian, just like every other company in the world, and especially when you see all their sessions, Rovo and AI and cross tool AI is going to be front and center. Atlassian is really focusing on this system of work, this interoperability between all your different tools and teams. And so it makes sense that Atlassian is going to give us like smarter automation in Jira, be able to create workflows, be able to create forms, be able to create project templates. Atlassian is already interweaving all of these like let AI do it for you things. So last year at Team 24, I did have a conversation with Mark Crew from Atlassian, and I was kind of predicting a future where you don't need a Jira admin because the ability to add a status, to add a field, to make a field required, all that stuff's going to be automated, right? And I think Atlassian is just going to continuously take a lot of the role and responsibility of a Jira admin and let AI do it for you. I still think you're going to want a Jira admin because AI is still far from getting it right, but I can see that being a trend. We have AI driven documentation and Confluence. And so I do see this as pretty valid too, right? The synergies between Jira and Confluence, right? Being able to have a bug in Jira and just have a bug report inside of Confluence. And then also the integration with like Loom, right? One of the cool things that I saw Atlassian introduce, I think 1 or 2 years ago now, was this whole like Loom. You take a screen recording and all the Jira tickets are made for you. I don't think I've seen that happen just yet, but I'm desperately and patiently waiting for that thing where I record a video of an incident and I go, here, make these tickets, right? I think that'd be really cool. And I think Atlassian is working towards that. And then finally, we have an AI powered forecasting and advanced roadmaps. I think this is pretty powerful too, because productivity is really key. And I think Atlassian is really focusing on productivity this year. And I think as a maybe a bonus prediction, productivity will play a huge key role in all the announcements for Atlassian this year. But what I think here with this AI powered forecasting, right, is help us deliver our projects better, right? There's just so many variables, so many balls that you got to carry up in the air as a project manager. I think letting AI help us out is going to be a tremendous power here that Atlassian is going to try to look into. Now, not mentioned here is obviously Rovo, right? Rovo is going to be front and center, folks. Rovo is the future of Atlassian. They're working on a bunch of integrations for getting Rovo to just be super smart. And I see Atlassian Intelligence also getting a lot more powerful this year. So definitely something with AI. I don't know exactly, again, what they're going to plan to do. I think my prediction is they can't announce too many new things because the stuff that they announced last year from AI, it was just so beta that I think they're just going to say how much better it's going to be this year, which of course, though, given Atlassian's trend, we won't see what we won't realize these new enhancements in AI until like a year from now, right? So I think Atlassian is basically going to do one of two things. They're either going to say, here's all the stuff we promised you at Team 24. It's now better and ready. Or they're going to say, here's all the stuff we're going to promise for 2026. Here's what we're going to be working on. So it's going to go either way here. All right, next one up is deeper cloud integrations and data residency options. Now, this one's interesting because Atlassian is pushing cloud adoption, but many enterprises still demand an on-premise flexibility. And so I think having more data residencies, we did see at this at 1 or 2 teams ago where they're adding more regions, right? Certain countries have very specific requirements on what happens to their data. GDPR is a pain in the butt for some reason, right? And so I do think Atlassian will make an honorable mention here. Better multi-cloud and hybrid options for large-scale organizations. Atlassian's down to the very few customers that just haven't made it over, and so I see FedRAMP, which just got announced, got moved forward. More stuff with HIPAA, right? More regulated industry stuff. I think they'll make announcements. I think it's going to be one of these things where they just like, oh, they show a slide and they're like, by the way, here's our FedRAMP plan, and here's this plan, and here's that plan for again for enterprise support, because they need to grab those last customers that they have on enterprise that are on premise that need to come over to the cloud. We also see more integrations with AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud for enterprise customers. Again, more flexibility. You got to be able to support whatever structure or infrastructure that those enterprise customers have. And so I do kind of see, I think this one's pretty valid. But at the end of the day, data center is basically dead. I don't see Atlassian doing any announcements for data center. And I think at this point, Atlassian is just only cloud. And so I do predict that in Team 25, they're going to make announcements that are very like, we're getting you off the data center type of announcements, right? Where they're gonna say all of those excuses that you put up, we're done, right? We're in 2025, we're rolling into 2026. We really are just kind of knocking down every excuse that you have to not come to the cloud. And I think this is the year where Atlassian is going to lay out a good roadmap for us and tell us you just got to come. You got to get off of data center and everything's in the cloud. So I predict that those announcements will come. All right, up next is we got major upgrades to JSM. JSM has been growing fast. We're going to have more AI-powered virtual agents, enhanced incident management, more no-code, low-code automation for non-technical teams. Now, I think this one's pretty valid. I don't know how much I agree to those three things, but what I will tell you with respect to JSM is that Atlassian has been investing heavily into making JSM the next greatest ITSM tool and trying to dethrone ServiceNow. I think it's an uphill battle from Atlassian. This is not where I would put my money or chips in, but I'm not Atlassian. But I do predict that they're going to make ITSM, JSM specific announcements where they're just going to make JSM much, much better. Hopefully cheaper. It's pretty expensive, but I guess when you compare to like ServiceNow, it's not more expensive. It's actually either cheaper or equally priced. But I do see JSM getting more powerful. I do see them interweaving AI a little bit more in JSM, trying to make the whole help desk thing a little bit more automated there. So definitely keeping an ear out for JSM related stuff. Fourth one here is a new acquisition or a major ecosystem partnership. Atlassian loves expanding through acquisitions, and so we might see something where a new tool acquisition, possibly in the AI, DevOps, or enterprise ITSM space, or a big partnership with the cloud provider like with Google, AWS, or ServiceNow. Now, from what I do know, what I do know internally, and I'm going to try careful here to not say too much, but Atlassian needs to partner, right? I think Atlassian needs to scale this tool, right? Jira can't go down type of thing, and I see competitors like Microsoft with their ADO that's kind of going away. I've heard chatter about AWS's like code commit kind of going away, and so Atlassian I think is going to be a good recipient of those customers, right? If Microsoft's not investing into their ADO, if Amazon is not investing into their tracker, right, their repository, then I think Bitbucket, right, placing Bitbucket or announcing some kind of partnership there is going to be key. Now, I don't know who Atlassian is going to acquire, but they typically do make an announcement of acquisitions. Last year, they made like 2 or 3 acquisitions that they announced at Team. Actually, they announced it like 1 or 2 days before, so we might get something by the time you're watching this video. But I do predict that they're going to acquire something. Now, an even bolder prediction, which I think is always really funny when I go to these Atlassian conferences, is that there's app makers, right, that make all these plugins for the Atlassian ecosystem. And I just always think it's funny and it's kind of sad, but funny to me, where Atlassian basically just erases a category, right? Because they'll introduce like a capability that somebody used to have as an app, right? And so I would expect something like that this time around. I know that like a Team 24, there was because the expo happens on Tuesday, right? So you already kind of see the partners that are out there. You see their marketing of AI this and AI that, and it was interesting to see all these booths where you like virtual agents and chatbots and all this other stuff. And then you go to the Atlassian keynote, which is Wednesday morning at 9, and Atlassian announces their own AI stuff. And I'm like, well, that where does that leave the partners, right? And so I would predict that in that trend, Atlassian will do something very similar, where they're going to essentially take a category from the marketplace. They're gonna take a category from the marketplace and like basically just bring it in house. And so I would predict something like that. And then finally, we had the expansion of Atlassian Analytics and data insights, more advanced reporting capabilities, better cross-product analysis, and AI-driven insights. Folks, if there's one thing that sucks about Jira, and in fact, I literally can just point to just one thing that truly, truly sucks about Jira, and that is its metrics, dashboards, and reporting. The dashboards, reporting, they suck in Jira. I'm not going to even sugarcoat this in any way, shape, or form. And in the age of AI, I can see this being a pretty valid prediction where Atlassian is finally going to give us metrics and reports that are easy to understand, easy to create. I think this is very critical. Atlassian Analytics has existed for a few years. You need like 10 PhDs to be able to understand how that thing works and how to build something valuable out of it. And so being able to just naturally, with regular English, get things out of Jira is going to be key. But here's the kicker. Atlassian can't make this an enterprise only thing. This has to come down to the common folk. I think this is how you drive bigger adoption. You can't paywall this analytic stuff behind enterprise only. I get it why they do it, but I think more people need access to that data lake and they need more access to being able to create easy to create reports and easy to understand reports with all that Jira data. So that's it for this video. Those are my top 5 predictions and a couple of other little insights that I threw in there here and there. If you got value out of this video, please make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below as well. And more importantly, what are your predictions? Let me know in the comment section. What do you think Atlassian's going to announce at Team 25 this year? I'm really excited. I really don't know what they're going to announce. I'm going in blind. As I mentioned at the beginning, I am intentionally staying away from any embargo news. I want to be as surprised as you are when Atlassian makes those announcements. And so I don't want any of that insider information. So let me know in the comment section, what do you think Atlassian will introduce? And we'll compare notes before, during, and after the keynotes. All right, that's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next one.